Yeah. Hair flip, yeah, I'm a badass bitch. I don't like it. Hair flip, yeah. Oh my god. So you guys should be happy. Oh my goodness. Hair flip. But anyways, hair flip. Hair flipping on these hoes. Hi.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to your boy Sean Davey Way Show. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe on your way in. Tap that bell if you would like to be notified of all of our future content. Today, I bring you a surviving video on the one and only Tiffany Haddish. We will jump into her past and future survivings on Tiffany Haddish, but this is more so of an update of everything that transpired after the lawsuit with Jane and John Doe. So without holding you any further, let's jump right into surviving Tiffany Haddish. We will begin with Tiffany Haddish breaking her silence after weeks of not saying anything of these allegations, especially after they went viral. So we will start there with Tiffany Haddish breaking her silence on the CSA claim. Article from the Daily Beast was posted September 5th, 2022. The comedian broke her silence Monday after the Daily Beast reported that the two siblings had accused her and Ari Spears of coercing them into performing explicit acts on camera. Tiffany Haddish released a statement following damning accusations that she and fellow comedian Ari Spears groomed two siblings to perform sexually suggestive acts on camera when the alleged victims were underage. Haddish admitted Monday that the inappropriate sketch described in the lawsuit as a P-word themed happened and that she regrets taking part. Tiffany Haddish quote, which is now deleted. "I know people have a bunch of questions. I'm right there with you," Haddish said in a statement posted to her Instagram on Monday. "Unfortunately, because there is an ongoing legal case, there's very little I can say right now. But clearly, while this sketch was intended to be comedic, it was not funny at all. And I deeply regret having agreed to act in it," she added. "I really look forward to being able to share a lot more about this situation as soon as I can." Quick side note, so this is Tiffany Haddish with her own statement, her first and only statement about this situation via her own Instagram. Not another blog or a friend or anything like that talking for her or posting on her behalf. This is her doing it herself. And when she does it, she immediately acknowledges the fact that this was wrong. It started off being comedic, but it was not. It was not funny at all. I should have never took any part in this. I deeply regret doing it at all. I wish this never happened, is what Tiffany Haddish said. She said nothing about a shakedown or being excited to tell people in the future about how she's been being extorted. None of the things that was stated on Hollywood Unlocked. She didn't state any of those things, so it was very confusing from one moment Tiffany Haddish stating she deeply regrets it to the next moment she's saying that she is being taken down and extorted by John Doe and Jane Doe. She said nothing of that. So as far as we know, Tiffany Haddish, before the statement from Hollywood Unlocked, which again, we don't know if Tiffany Haddish actually said those things. It was more so of like a paraphrase or a certain conversation that may have been had and then certain people put it into their own words. But there was nothing that Tiffany was stating about being shaken down or extorted from this family. And I've looked at the fact too that Tiffany Haddish stated that she can't wait to give more detail in what's going on, but this is a court case that's going on, so there's only a limited amount that she could say. So for the ones in the back that would say that's what she was talking about, she couldn't wait to state more because they were extorting her and they were shaking her down. No, she and her attorneys said that, well, more so of her attorneys, stated the shakedown and the extortion before the court case was over, before there was a settlement. So if Tiffany Haddish could come forward with this statement and state how she deeply regrets it, she could have put the shaken down or being extorted part in there. I feel, in my opinion, that Tiffany Haddish did not add the shakedown or extortion inside of her original statement. It's because it simply wasn't true. If it was, the truth is always the truth and you always remember it. So how are you doing a statement about what happened And you can add the fact that you are being extorted or that this is a shakedown and you choose not to. You didn't add it in there, Tiffany Haddish, because it was simply not true. It wasn't. They weren't trying to shake you down or anything. You knew exactly what went on. You knew what you promised that family, and you knew that you did not make your end of the bargain. The Daily Beast exclusively reported last week that plaintiffs Jane and John Doe, using pseudonyms, filed a lawsuit on August 29th against Haddish and Spears, claiming that the entertainers coerced them into performing suggestive acts on camera in 2013 when they were 14 and 7 years old. The lawsuit alleges Haddish recruited John for a video skit titled Through a P-Word's Eyes. In the video, 7-year-old John played a child clothed in his underwear and left alone with Spears, who played a P-word. Spears allegedly massaged baby oil on the child's back and shoulders in the video. The boy played with a toy train in a manner that suggests the M word, and Spears watched the boy in a bathtub. Haddish played the boy's guardian. Throughout the clip, the cinematography focused on John's butt and crotch. According to the lawsuit, John called his mother crying, saying he did not want to film anymore after the experience. About a year earlier, the lawsuit alleges Haddish recruited Jane for a commercial while attending a comedy camp. Initially, Haddish and Spears had Jane watch a commercial that involved a group of men and women discussing how to eat a Subway sandwich in a manner that stimulated the act of fellatio. Spears instructed Jane to mimic the people in the commercial, the lawsuit stated, and Haddish allegedly showed the 14-year-old what to do. Her quote, "I knew 100% what they wanted out of me," Jane previously told the Daily Beast. "I tried to mimic what they wanted me to mimic, but it still came out just super uncomfortable." The lawsuit claimed that Haddish paid Jane $100 before she sent her home. Aries Spears addressed the lawsuit and allegations while appearing on his podcast, Spears and Steinberg. He described the situation as an extortion case and a shakedown. Spears also expressed fear that it would ruin his career. Madame Nayor reports, Aries Spears quote, "I already felt like my career was over before all of this. I thought I was blackballed and my ish was over. But I always said I felt like I was one thing away from the turnaround. But now this, I'm almost certain that the tombstone is written." The Chase star said, according to Madame Nayor. Haddish was more hush-hush about the matter. She shared an apology on Instagram, telling her millions of followers that the sketch was intended to be comedic, but it wasn't funny at all. At least with Tiffany Haddish, she was willing to take at least 10% accountability for what happened. With people like Aries Spears and people like Tiffany Haddish, if you admit to wrongdoing, then that means everything you are taking blame for. So they'll only take a little piece of the blame, because if I take it all, then you guys are going to look at me as a horrible person, and I'm not, because that is the image that they have been trying to place in people's mind. Aries Spears has taken no accountability. He dogged the mother. He basically disrespected the children. And he made it seem as if he was in the right for what he did. Aries, you are not. You had children that you knew of. You did not know them. You were doing very inappropriate things with them, things that no parent pretty much would agree to let another person do with their children, even in a comedic way, even in a joking manner. This isn't a joke. Very serious, and you cannot tell people how to feel. So if that young man, John Doe, feels as if he has been traumatized by what you did, you don't have the right to tell him that he was not, as a grown man, putting a 7-year-old in a bathtub and rubbing on him and making him do things that are explicit sexually, and he does not understand it. He does not understand why this grown man is making him do things that makes him feel uncomfortable. It's the same thing with Jane Doe. You sitting in that studio with that girl, telling her to eat that sandwich in a way of doing fellatio is disgusting. And you know that it is disgusting. That's why you don't want to take accountability for it, because you already know the vibes. You already know what it gives. I mean, the title of the skit, Through a P-Word's Eyes, is exactly what you were giving. A P-word. Different with Evan Peters, how a lot of people are going around right now stating that him doing that role so well, it makes it seem as if he's creepy or if he's capable of doing some of the same things that Dahmer did. So it's the same thing with Aries Spears and Tiffany Haddish. If y'all are literally sitting here doing a skit through the P Word's eyes and placing these children in situations that only P Words would and acting the roles out well, to me it gives that, are y'all really this way? Are y'all really P Words? I mean, Aries Spears did plenty of skits pretending to be Bill Cosby and doing certain things to women and making them look as if being R-worded is okay. It's not funny. There's nothing funny about him pretending to be Bill Cosby and do certain things to women. And again, Tiffany Haddish was the alleged victim, making fun of victims. And it's the same thing with Aries Spears. Y'all are making fun of victims. You can't make fun of a P word. Those people need help. And it's no different than the victims. They need help as well. So to act these things out, you did it a little too well. That's why it was really creepy and really off-putting to people when they would watch it, because the roles are being played too good. Case, which has moved from state court to federal court by Haddish, may have officially come to a close. According to Radar Online, Haddish has worked out a deal with the accusers. Most details of the deal are unknown at this time. Haddish will need to issue a public apology for her participation in the skits. She may also need to recant some of the claims she made about the lawsuit being a shakedown. Side note, so Tiffany Haddish has to publicly apologize for her participation in the skits, but she also has to recant what she said about the lawsuit being a shakedown and her being extorted. Now remember, that information came from Hollywood Unlocked. If Hollywood Unlocked would not have published that Tiffany Haddish stated that this was an extortion, that this was a shakedown, she would not have to apologize for it. So I feel like Hollywood Unlocked placed Tiffany Haddish in a worse situation with the case, because remember, Jane Doe and John Doe are paying attention to everything. So everything that's going on in the blogs and in the media and everything like that, the family is paying attention to. So when you're coming forward saying that this is a shakedown, and again, Tiffany Haddish was not literally saying it being interviewed that this was a shakedown or that she was being extorted. It was more so of hearsay. More so of a conversation that she would have had with either Jason Lee or somebody on that team, and they put it into their own words. Because if Tiffany truly meant that, then why would she agree to recant it? Why would Tiffany agree to apologize publicly about this being a shakedown and about her being extorted if they were true? In my opinion, again, I feel that Tiffany Haddish was mad at Hollywood Unlocked and Jason Lee, because again, they made the situation worse. I don't believe that Tiffany Haddish wanted Jason Lee to come forward and, well, not just Jason Lee, Hollywood Unlocked, and not only dox the mother of Jane and John Doe, and Jason Lee also threatened that he would be doxing Jane and John Doe as well. I don't believe Tiffany wanted any of those things to happen. I don't believe that Tiffany wanted to come outright herself and say that this was an extortion or that it was a shakedown. Her attorney stated that, no different than with Aries Spears. He only said that because his attorneys did. The attorneys spoke about the shakedown and extortion first. Tiffany Haddish, once again, didn't say anything literally public about it. This was something that Hollywood Unlocked wrote and put a quote that Tiffany Haddish stated that she had said. Now, Tiffany could have said those things, but I don't think that Tiffany wanted it to be as public. I think it was a private conversation that Tiffany was having with Jason Lee, and Jason Lee being so hell-bent on trying to defend her because they are publicly friends. Because these accusations doesn't just make Tiffany look bad, it makes anybody that hangs with her or is affiliated with her look bad as well. So to me, and again, in my opinion, I feel that Jason was trying to save face for himself, because pay attention, Jason Lee and Tiffany Haddish has not been seen together, hung out together. Jason Lee doesn't even bring her up besides the last live that he did, getting into it with other YouTubers that weren't on Tiffany Haddish's side. It may seem that the tables have turned with Tiffany Haddish and Jason Lee, and we're going to get into that. Stay tuned. Because John Doe is still a minor, all parties have agreed to keep the complaint sealed to protect his identity. The full public availability of the complaint could permit public identification of plaintiff John Doe and by association plaintiff Jane Doe. The filings read, according to Radar Online. In the court documents obtained by TMZ, it appears that Jane Doe has now asked the judge to dismiss the suit. Her quote, "My family and I have known Tiffany Haddish for many years, and we now know that she never tried to harm me or my brother or help anyone else do anything that could harm us. We wish Tiffany Haddish the best and are glad that we can put all this behind us," said Jane Doe, according to TMZ. Because the suit was dismissed without prejudice, that means it cannot be refiled. Here's what I believe happened. Tiffany Haddish and her team knew, especially with how much attention this case was getting, that if this went federal, because remember, Tiffany's team made it go from state court until federal court. She did that, So with that being done, them going to federal court, this could turn criminal. And with it turning criminal, Tiffany could possibly face some jail time if she loses this lawsuit on allegedly CSA. And that's no good thing. Like, that's really bad. And all type of charges could come about. So Tiffany Haddish and Jane and John Doe had a conversations with their attorneys present. And with that being said, I think that they came to an agreement. I think that Tiffany apologized, and I think the apology was a real apology. And I think that that was good enough for them. Because like I said, sometimes you just want something done. And Tiffany and her attorneys agreed to give Jane and John Doe a nice lump sum, more so of John Doe, not Jane, because she's suing on behalf of her brother. So they get a nice, piece of change and whatnot. And I think that it was enough for them to say, you know what, we can finally move on from this. At least something has been done. We have been heard. People know that we are not lying. So when Jane Doe states that her family has known Tiffany and she doesn't believe that Tiffany tried to do any harm to her or place them in a situation for somebody else to do harm, I believe that comes from Tiffany explaining herself, letting them know, like, I would never do anything to hurt y'all. I know it may seem that way and you guys may have been hurt by the situation, but that was truly not my intent. I didn't want to do anything to hurt you guys. And looking back on it, I think that I did. I think that what I did to you was not fair to you, and it could cause a lot of trauma and for you to feel uncomfortable in a lot of situations. So, and that I am sorry for. Tiffany Haddish quietly settles this suit with Jane and John Doe, which again, I find weird because Tiffany Haddish came forward and said that this was a shakedown, and her attorney stated that it was a shakedown. And Tiffany Haddish allegedly told Hollywood Unlocked that she was being extorted, and she's relieved, that this information has came out so they can stop extorting her. Yet she decides to settle. Why would you settle, Tiffany, with people that are only coming after you for money if their allegations are false? Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears did not want to take accountability because in their minds, they were just doing a comedic skit. They were not doing what the audience viewed, which was something extremely inappropriate and placing children in situations that they should not be. So in their mindset, that's not our outcome. That's not what we were doing, but that's how it was perceived. So if they say that they agree with how the community views with how these videos were made, then that means that they literally brought those children there to do inappropriate things. And again, in their mind, they did not. Tiffany's defense is, oh, she ready. I never brought the kids there to do anything like that. I wasn't even in the room when most of it was going down. I just brought them there because this was funny. This was comedy. This was just a skit. It was nothing like that. That's how she views it. And it's just like, no, the mother or father, nobody knew what was going on besides you, Aries Spears, and those children. You had false pretenses in picking those children up from their mother. You know you are wrong. After Tiffany Haddish tries to do her quiet settle, paparazzi caught up with her at an airport and she stated that she lost everything. Let's get in. Did Tiffany Haddish really lose everything due to these allegations? Tiffany Haddish said Wednesday her show business projects have dried up in the wake of the M-word lawsuit that was recently dismissed. Tiffany's quote, I lost everything. All my gigs, everything, gone. Haddish, 42, told TMZ Wednesday while walking through LAX. I don't know. I don't have no job, bro. Tiffany Haddish, 42, was asked about her suit, in which the woman claimed she and her brother were underage when Tiffany Haddish and comic Aries Spears sought to involve them in comedy skits. Spears and Haddish were accused of producing comedy sketches in which an underage girl was mimicking an act of OS on a sandwich, and another in which Spears portrayed a child M-word fantasizing over her brother. She said she was relieved that the suit has been dropped and noted that she was concerned about the kids more than anything else, presumably referring to plaintiffs who were 14 and 7 when they claimed they had been abused by Tiffany and Aries, whom Tiffany said she no longer talks to. Side note, so Tiff Haddish is not talking about the children in this statement. She's talking about Aries Spears. All of a sudden, since these accusations came up again and they're so public, she has removed herself from Aries Spears. But let's keep going. Haddish said she doesn't speak for and has no affiliation with Aries Spears, who is 47, the outlet reported. The Like a Boss star was asked about if she was concerned others might make accusations against her, which she said would be fake. I note again, Tiffany Haddish said if any other child came forward and stated any accusation like this, it would be fake, meaning that John Doe and Jane Doe were telling the truth. So I don't understand why people are so mad that people didn't support Tiffany Haddish, because this happened. This is fact. It is actuality. Tiffany Haddish's quote, "If there is somebody else with the new lawsuit, the ish fake," she added defiantly. It's unclear the extent of her alleged job losses, as she was reported to be returning for the second season of her acclaimed Apple TV series, The After Party. Haddish was seen out in public on late Tuesday night for the first time after the lawsuit accusing her and comedian Aries Spears of SA was dropped. She was spotted heading to a party in Los Angeles that was thrown by Jack Harlow, while accompanied by her old pal, Jaleel White, 45, best known for playing Steve Urkel on the sitcom The Family Matters. The 22-year-old woman asked the judge overseeing the case to withdraw her lawsuit with prejudice, meaning it cannot be refiled, according to the court documents obtained by TMZ on Tuesday. The former plaintiff, referred to as only Jane Doe, had originally sued the 42-year-old girl strip star and the 47-year-old former Mad TV fixture for allegedly grooming her and her younger brother when they were 14 and 7, respectively. All that being said, Tiffany Haddish and her legal team was afraid of Tiffany Haddish getting criminal charges filed against her. Remember, Jane has sent the letter to the Los Angeles County District Attorney, George, and asked him if they could immediately arrest Tiffany Haddish and Aries Spears, and then all of a sudden they settle. Oh, you best believe that they knew that this could get a lot worse before it got better. So it was in Tiffany's best interest to settle. So that is exactly what she did. Is Tiffany Haddish broke, and is Tiffany Haddish jobless after these allegations? Now, I don't know. I know that she was doing Kids Say the Darndest Things, and I believe that there's 2 seasons, and there was a renewal for a 3rd, but I have not seen anything stating that Tiffany Haddish would be returning. The show that she has on Apple TV, The After Party, she is supposed to be on the 2nd season of it. So she does have that in the bank, but this happened before the allegations became so public. But I do believe that the job offers have slimmed. I do believe she still will work. People will still give her an opportunity, but the bigger figures, I don't think that they will. I think they want to step away. Notice how Kevin Hart, a bigger figure that has been connected to Tiffany Haddish and supported her and even given her jobs, has not said anything, especially in her defense. Tyler Perry as well. He's, closer to Tiffany. They have a relationship. He's helped her and put her on certain projects, and he has not uttered a word. And both of them have upcoming projects. Kevin has upcoming projects with Netflix, and Tyler Perry has upcoming projects with BET and more things on the horizon. But Tiffany Haddish has not been listed in the lineup for either person. So I do believe that this is affecting her financially. The real reason Tiffany may be broke is because whatever they agreed on the settlement is in Tiffany's best interest to pay it immediately. If Tiffany does not pay these people, Jane and John Doe, then that just gives them the power to just continue to state these allegations and whatnot. Now, they can't sue her again because it's without prejudice. I mean, with prejudice, sorry. But they can let people know what happened to them over and over and over again. Earlier in this video, I stated that Tiffany Haddish and Jason Lee's relationship may be in hot water. There may be trouble in paradise. And I state that because Tiffany Haddish was definitely throwing shade, and she was definitely throwing shade at a man. Some people on the internet stated that in her post, she was referring to Aries Spears, and I do not believe that that is true. And the reason I don't believe it's true is because Tiffany has publicly stated how she has no dealings with Aries. There's no affiliation. She does not talk to him. She basically regrets even knowing him. So if she was talking about Aries, I feel like why the subliminals if you've already stated publicly that you don't deal with him? She's speaking to a person and people that are actually around her, people that view these associates as her friend. And I believe she's talking about Jason Lee. So let's get right into it. Shout out to Atlanta Black Star. Real situations expose fake people. Tiffany Haddish posts message about friendships following suit. Award-winning actress Tiffany Haddish is learning that not everyone will stick around when the going gets tough. Nearly a month after Night School star and fellow comedian Aries Spears were accused of CA and the M word, Haddish took to her social media, where she seemingly called out associates who may have turned their backs on her amid her recent controversy. On Monday, October 3rd, the Like a Boss star shared a silhouette of what appeared to be a man and a woman sitting on a bench. The male figure is pointing an object, seemingly a weapon, behind a woman's head, with the memo that reads, "Everybody isn't your friend. Just because they hang around you and laugh with you doesn't mean they are your friend. People pretend well." The note continued, "At the end of the day, real situations expose fake people, so pay attention." Haddish added her own message, stamping the photo with 7 sets of looking emojis, and the caption read, "I see you." Unclear whom the actress' post may have been directed toward. However, it comes after Nobody's Fool actress was hit with a lawsuit in which a 22-year-old identified as Jane Doe alleged that Haddish and Spears groomed and M-worded them when they were teenagers. According to the legal documents, Haddish knew the child was under 18 and sexually exploited plaintiff Jane Doe for profit and likes on social media. However, in 2018, Jane Doe's mother reportedly received a $15,000 settlement from Aries Spears. Quick side note, so in 2018-2019, Jane Doe's mother received $15,000 from Aries Spears. That is why this lawsuit with Jane and John Doe is against Tiffany Haddish, because they already sued Aries. So again, this is why Aries is stating, oh, this is just a shakedown, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. That's why the settlement is more so Tiffany Haddish settled instead of you hearing a lot about Aries, because this was more about those two, Jane and John Doe, getting what they feel that they deserve from Tiffany Haddish. Tiffany putting up this shady post, a lot of people stated that she may have been talking about Kevin Hart or Tyler Perry and many others. But I don't believe that that's true, because Tiffany's not going to risk those type of relationships. I don't think she's going to try to risk a relationship with Kevin Hart. I don't think she's going to try and risk a relationship with somebody like Tyler Perry. These are bigger figures, but she will risk her relationship with Jason Lee, because out of Tyler Perry and Jason Lee and Kevin Hart, obviously Jason's lower on the totem pole when it comes to these other men. No shade, it's just Tyler Perry is worth how much money? Kevin Hart is worth how much money? They're directors, produce. I mean, they do so much. Like, they wear a lot of hats, and unfortunately Jason does not. So if there's a relationship out of these three that I think Tiffany Haddish is going to sacrifice, I think it would be the one with Jason. Meme that Tiffany posted also said, "Everybody isn't your friend. Just because they hang around you and laugh with you doesn't mean they are your friend. People pretend well." she could definitely be talking about Jason. Just because Jason has been around me, laughing with me, and hanging with me, does not mean that he is my friend. People pretend well. And why I would say that is because Jason has definitely been on this campaign of Tiffany Haddish is innocent, shakedown, blah, blah, blah. I believe that Tiffany Haddish is mad at Jason because, again, like I said earlier, I think Jason and Tiffany Haddish had a personal conversation, and Jason took that information and went and put it on his blog. And I think that upset Tiffany. I think she was mad by that. I do. I think it angered her. Tiffany can speak for herself. And while all of this was happening, she's been quiet for so long. She was quiet for weeks. And the first real statement we get after she finally does say something is Hollywood Unlocked coming forward talking the complete opposite of what she said on her own IG post. I think that pissed Tiffany off. I think she was angry. And I feel like she looked at Jason like, you're supposed to be my friend. Like, why would you be using me as T? Like, I am not an exclusive. I am your friend. And clearly we're not, because if we were, you wouldn't have did this. You wouldn't have took this information anywhere else besides here. And Tiffany may have said that Jason can say certain things, but I think that he said everything. He said the entire conversation instead of just using the little tidbit of information that she wanted him to use. She could easily be talking about Jason Lee. Jason Lee has not posted nor spoke of Tiffany Haddish since he did his last gagging. He has not spoke of her. Jason Lee has a new show coming out and he's stating that Cardi B may be one of his first guests and whatnot. He said nothing about Tiffany Haddish. He's been live multiple times. He brought up the Kanye situation and whatnot, but he has not said a word about Tiffany. And Tiffany Haddish has not said a word about nor to Jason Lee as far as we know. So again, Tiffany Haddish could easily be talking about Jason Lee right now, stating that he is really not her friend. Reasoning for thinking that Tiffany Haddish is shading and is upset with Jason is because in the finalized settlement agreement between Jane and John Doe and Tiffany Haddish, she has to come forward and apologize for what was written on Hollywood Unlocked. Why would she not be upset about that? She already has to do a public apology, which she has not done yet. A public apology to Jane and John Doe and apologizing about the skit and all of that. And she also has to apologize for talking about this was a shakedown and that she was being extorted. That information came from Hollywood Unlocked. Tiffany Haddish attorney stated that it was a shakedown, but she doesn't have to apologize for that. She has to apologize for saying it. And the only place Tiffany said that was allegedly on Hollywood Unlocked. So why would she not be mad? If Jason would have just left well enough alone and Hollywood Unlocked would have left well enough alone, this wouldn't even be involved. I feel that she's already embarrassed enough that she has to come forward and apologize for something like this. And now she got to add that in there too. And she wouldn't even have to if it wasn't for you. Why would she not be upset about that? You are now a part of my lawsuit. You are now being listed in my lawsuit and you have nothing to do with it. But now I have to apologize for something that you wouldn't wrote on your blog without my permission? Again, if Tiffany did give Jason permission to give a statement for her, it was not that. Tiffany Haddish never wanted the mother docs or anything like that. She didn't want her information out there. She could have did those things herself. She chose not to. So not only did Jason dox the mother and threaten to dox the son and daughter, he put in, this is a shakedown. I'm so glad this is coming out. They've been extorting me for quite some time and blah, blah, this and blah, blah, that. You did that, Jason. That didn't have anything to do with Tiffany because, again, she was not being interviewed on gagging or anything like that. You didn't have a clip of her vocally expressing these things. It, to me, seems as if it was, again, a private conversation she was having with Jason, and Jason asked Tiffany if he could use a little bit of this information to defend her and help her. And instead of just using the tidbits she gave him, which will probably more so be about the shakedown, he went forward and talked about extortion and all of that. That was a problem. It had to be. Again, it's in the final settlement. I want to state this for the record as well. I am not saying 100% that Tiffany Haddish is talking about Jason Lee. out of the information given, it's just how I feel. It's my opinion that Tiffany Haddish is talking about Jason Lee. And I feel that Jason Lee may feel some type of way too, and know that this is true because, again, he was live multiple times and he stated that he has a new show coming on either a new app or network or something in that regard. And Cardi B is allegedly going to be one of his first guests or his first guest. He never said anything about Tiffany Haddish, not one thing. And she would be a great guest for a new show, but he didn't say a word about her. So I'm just, kind of putting two and two together and just like, hey, is there a problem here? But there may not be. But as far as I can see, there is. It's been part 1 of Surviving Tiffany Haddish. We have a few more parts coming, and we also will be including Surviving Aries Spears as well. There's 2 sides to every story. So we will definitely be telling them both. I love you all. I hope you enjoyed. Sean Tober will definitely keep pushing out these survivings. I love you all. And until the next show, bye.